Hello everyone, welcome to Sunday's all chat live IELTS streaming class from Academic English Helps YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, become a subscriber. Better yet, become a sponsor for special classes and access to our 6 full practice exams. Hi Pachu, how are you doing? I hope you're having a good day. Thank you for wishing me a good evening. It's just before evening here in beautiful Budapest, Hungary. Hi Shiji. Hi Deepa. I hope everybody is doing great. I'm doing fantastic, Jeffrey. Thanks for asking. Everybody can hear my voice okay? You can see the screen behind me okay? Hi Arcana. Missed you from the sponsor class. I didn't see you in there, Arcana. Make sure you pay attention to those sponsor notifications on the channel so that you can catch those, okay? Awesome, girls and guys. So let's get cracking. This class is speaking, some practice, and some strategy. It's coming from test number 5 in our exam books. Of course, the materials, as always, coming from aehelp.com. That's our academic IELTS website. I'll show you that real quick. It looks like that with the blue background. There I am in the intro video. Lots of resources there. When you log in, you can get access to 6 full practice exams, a fully interactive course that I'll use in future lessons, 100 hours of lesson videos and so forth. General IELTS looks like that with the green background. Of course, the reading and writing sections are different. We like to separate the 2 exams out. Different people take those exams. All right, so going back here. I've put the questions into the into the YouTube stream description. So today's questions are in the YouTube stream description. You're very welcome, Hannah. I hope that you're learning lots and you reach your IELTS goals. So if you want to practice the speaking interview, it is a paid service, and if you're curious about that and want to buy some practice speaking interview lessons to get the feeling of the real IELTS exam, send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com and we can hook that up either through Skype or WhatsApp. Writing and editing help also available on our websites. All right, let's get right into it. So this is part 1 questions here. Now, maybe I'll make that a little bit bigger. You can see it a little bit more. There we go. All right, so you get into your IELTS exam, sometimes some students have the option to do the speaking one day before the writing. If you can do that, that's great, okay? So I know that some students, you don't have any choice. You have to do the speaking on the same day that you do the other parts of the exam. But if you can, if you do have the choice, if it is possible, if you live in the same city where your IELTS exam is, you live close to the test center, I strongly recommend doing the speaking on another day, okay? Usually that ends up with better scores because if you do the speaking on the same day as you write the other parts of the exam, it's just a lot of work for your brain, all right? So, hello sponsors. Nice to see so many of you jumping in on this class as well. Very studious of you, and that's great. That will yield sweet fruits. Vandana, Manisha, Arcana, Baljit, I'm thinking of you. All right, so make sure to show up to your speaking exam at least, I would say, an hour before. Find some other people who are there to do the speaking exam. Take some questions like these ones with you and ask them to practice. Don't be shy. You have to be confident. You have to be confident with your speaking examiner. So if you go to or when you go to your exam early, find other students and say, hey, I got a couple of sheets with me with some questions. Do you want to sit down for coffee and practice these with me? Very good idea. It will help to jump your band score, okay? So keep that in mind. That's just a tip for today here. Go to the speaking exam 1 hour before your appointment. Find other candidates and ask them to practice with you. Of course, bring some practice questions with you. And I would say focus mostly on part 3 when you're doing this. It's okay to ask some part 1 questions, but try to focus on the more difficult questions. Okay, so that's one quick tip. All right, now we're going to practice something very specific. Hi, Hadil. I don't think I've seen you in a long time in class. Good to see you in today. Didn't you already pass the exam, Hadil? Or maybe I'm mistaken. I'm confusing you with somebody else. Anyway, back on target here. So I want to focus on one specific skill today because it's one that I'm still seeing a lot of students miss, okay? I still see a lot of students miss this. What I want to focus on today is simply including real-life examples from your life into your answer. Okay, so that's what I want to focus on today. I'm finding that still students, when I'm teaching them, when I'm showing them how to be successful in the speaking section, I'm still finding that too many students are missing their specific examples for these questions, okay? And I really want you to include that because that will help you answer these questions more clearly and more coherently. So there's a few very important reasons why you want to include these real-life examples. So you get into the exam, and you're confident, you're brave, you feel good about yourself, you're positive, and the examiner starts by saying, welcome to the speaking portion of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I'll be your examiner for this part of the test. Please have a seat. May I see your identification, please? You say, yes, here you are. And then they'll say, okay, thank you. They'll look at it. They'll be writing marks and notes while you're speaking. Don't worry about them. Worry about yourself. Remember, you're speaking to your grandpa. They'll put your passport or your ID off to the side. They'll say, I'll give this back to you at the end of the test. Now, let's begin part 1. I'd like to get to know you a little bit better. What's your name? And then you say your name. My name is Adrian Benedek. You can just call me Adrian. Now here, what I want you to do during this lesson, girls and guys, a little bit of an intermission here, is repeat everything that I say, okay? So repeat me nice and loud. Hopefully you're in a space where you can speak nice and loud, and I want you to repeat what I say, okay? Make sure you repeat what I say. Then the examiner, as Meet Patel is telling us in the chat, will say, how can I call you? And then you can say, you can call me Sanim, as Sanim is indicating in the chat. And then one of the most common questions will be, all right, Sanim, do you work or do you study? And then give your full answer, show your fluency right away, be prepared for this answer. So you can say, these days, I'm working as an IELTS instructor. I have a YouTube channel where I help many students learn the right kinds of strategies and practice for getting high scores on the IELTS exam. It's very rewarding work, especially when students reach their goals. And then the examiner will say, all right, great. And when you're not teaching, what do you like to do in your free time? And then again, give a nice full answer. And here you can already include an example. So you can say, in my free time, I like to play sports such as basketball and football as well. I like reading novels. Okay, so here, I would like you girls and guys to give me an example. Have a wonderful weekend as well, Eugene. I hope that the Omochi Eugene, hope you have a wonderful weekend as well. Omocha, I believe is the first part there. Anyway, have a wonderful weekend as well. All right, girls and guys, did you think of an example there while I was trying to read that Japanese? Anybody? Some examples. Baljeet, for instance, I read half of a book called My Girlfriend last Saturday. I think maybe Girlfriend, there's a title. Watching movies is not an example, girls and guys. So here we're looking for real life examples, okay? Include real life examples. And by real life examples, I don't mean list an example of a movie or list an example of a sport, but I mean actually give an example of a sport that you played. Oh, okay, the book's called Half Girlfriend. Yeah, by the way, Baljeet, that is a good example. So for instance, yesterday I read half a book, or I read a book called Half Girlfriend. Sure. Okay, that's great. Listening to music is not an example. It's still just an explanation, Arcana. So Baljeet had a better example there. Real life examples are like, for example, I read a great book yesterday called Half Girlfriend. Okay, and then stop, okay? So don't keep going, don't keep talking, don't go off topic, just stop there, all right? Shijan, sorry. That is also an explanation. That's not an example, okay? Yeah, like the Tale of Two Cities, Khaled, sure. Which gave me information about the French Revolution. Okay, good. Yeah, that's a real-life example. That's what we're focusing on, all right? Cycling on mountain roads is... Okay, here, let me give you a little bit more information here. I think this will make it more clear. Include real-life examples to support your answers. Include a time reference. Okay? Okay, so the best way to get you thinking about a good specific example is include a time reference into your example. Here I used yesterday, but you can use a lot of other time references like last week on Saturday before I do the test at 5 a.m. in the morning, okay? So that's a good way to make it a real life example from your actual experience. Now, of course, it doesn't have to be the truth, girls and guys, so the examples don't have to be true. You can make them up, so just imagine them, but they do have to seem like they're a real example, okay? So Pachu, for example, last month I read a science fiction book about astronomy. It was great. All right, so here we go. First question. So the examiner will say, all right, for the remainder of part one, let's talk about parks. How often do you go to the park? And then you can give your answer for that. So, girls and guys, here's your chance. Give me a nice answer for how often do you go to the park and include an example. Yeah, Amanjot, that's a good answer. That's a level 8, level 9 answer, okay? If you can give answers like that for all of your answers, that's how you're going to get a high score. Hi, Swagger. Yeah, Baljeet, that's a good way to do it too, okay? Those are your time references. Good for you. I usually go to the park in the evening. Kind of doesn't answer the question, Deepak. I often go to the park, usually in the evening. That's a better answer. Again, girls and guys, repeat after me. I often go to the park, usually in the evening. And then you still need that example. Every Saturday and Sunday, I go to the local park of my city. That's a nice answer, Manisha. For instance, last Saturday, I went there with my girlfriend for 2 hours. That would be your specific example. Khaled, I often go to Nelson Mandela Park twice a week to refresh my mind. The last time I was there was this Thursday with my buddies, okay? So that would be your specific example. Your specific example should be something that I can actually see in my head. Like, oh, okay, that's where you were last Thursday. I can see that. Hadil, I often go to the park as a mother of 2 kids. They like the outdoors instead of electronics. For example, last Friday I went to the park near my house with the whole family. Beautiful answer, Hadil. Beautiful. That's how you push your band 8, band 9, okay? Beautiful answer. That's what I'm looking for. And then stop, okay? Don't keep talking. So Hadil, don't do more. It's enough, all right? Then go to the next question. You got lots to go, so don't overdo it. Careful with that. All right, so I often go to Central Park in Victoria. As a matter of fact, I was there last Friday enjoying a barbecue with a couple of friends from college. Okay, so it doesn't have to be super long. Okay, it just needs to reflect the grammar of the question. Here we're looking for adverbs of frequency, how often, and then a nice specific example that you can just fit in there to make it visible, measurable, beautiful, and a high band score. All right? Yeah, Baljit, I often go, don't forget the question, right, Baljit? So I often go to Carroll Park, which is 5 miles from my home. In fact, I was there last Sunday evening. All right? Gyani, I don't often visit parks, but when I do, I go for some exercise and fitness purposes. Last time I had the chance to do this was, I think, early in the spring when I went for a jog. Okay, so include that example and it will be better. Make sure you repeat me, girls and guys, all right, when I say these sentences. Okay, let's go to the next question. I'd love to read everybody's answers, but unfortunately, we might be here a very, very long time. But I'll get to most of you. Don't worry. I try to pick different people at different times, so don't be shy. Answer as much as you can. Practice your English and repeat, 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 repeat after me. Repeat the question. Which is your favorite park to visit? Which is your favorite park to visit? Give me some answers for this one. Give me some nice answers, girls and guys. Nice answers. Which is your favorite park to visit? And you can connect your answer to previous answers if you already mentioned the park that you like to visit. I might connect mine with Central Park in Victoria, which doesn't actually exist. Victoria has a park called Beacon Hill Park. That's beautiful, but anyhow. Which is your favorite park? Now here, hopefully when you realize that the question's asking which is your favorite park, your answer should be some specific park, the name of a park. Yeah, Lali, Saini, my favorite park is Punjore Garden or Punjore Garden. I'm not sure the pronunciation there. My favorite park is Punjore Garden in Chandigarh. I do know that one. In Chandigarh. Okay, and you want to add a little bit more to that, Lali. So my favorite park is Punjore Garden in Chandigarh because it has beautiful big trees. Okay, so give me a little bit more. My favorite, well, a lot of answers coming up, so I missed a couple there. All right, let's jump down to Vimbai. I like to visit Solofellow Park mainly because it is very close to my home, about a 10-minute walk from my house. A little bit too many words in there, V. You got to take some of that out. Manisha, my favorite park is Windsor Park, which is situated far away from the congested area of my city. I go there to relax from the noisy city life. Beautiful answer, Manisha. Those will get you some great marks. Arcana, my favorite park is Marine Drive, which is in the heart of the city with picturesque view of the lake and a rainbow bridge. Baljit, I love to visit Carroll Park because of its different species of flowers and a fountain, I think is what you're saying there, not foundation. Maybe that was your autocorrect. And a beautiful water fountain. Okay, that's good, and you're throwing some good information in there. Sponsors I usually catch, girls and guys, because their names are coming up in green. They support us, so I don't want you to think that I'm being biased, but I kind of am. Easier on my eyes, plus it's a thanks for the support. Hike. My favorite park is my city's Central Park because it is nice and beautiful with a lot of entertainment, such as music concerts in the summer. Okay, so add a little bit more to that. Good. So absolutely, those are some nice answers, girls and guys. Make sure they're nice and complete and coherent. Don't forget your correlative conjunctions. Okay, I'll throw one in there for you. So my favorite park to visit is Beacon Hill Park in Victoria. Not only because of the many beautiful rose gardens there, but also since it is near the ocean and always has a nice summer breeze. Okay? So again, repeat after me, girls and guys. My favorite park to visit is Beacon Hill Park in Victoria. Not only because of the many beautiful rose gardens there, but also since it's near the ocean and always has a nice summer breeze. Or summer breeze is kind of an awkward way. I'd say fresh breeze. That's what I was thinking, but because it's summer here, my brain and my hand weren't cooperating. Okay. All right. So that's a good answer there. Let's move to the next one. What do you like to do when you're there? Let's skip that one for now. Let's get into this one here. Have parks changed since you were a child? In what ways? Okay, girls and guys, so let's get to that one. Have parks changed since you were a child? In what ways? So answer that question for me. Make sure it's a complete answer. And you might want to include an example here, if possible. Certainly. Josh Hill, good to see you in class. Several national parks are available in my country which have played the role of beautification. I frequently visit the company park, and this is my favorite part. Josh Hill, I would take out that whole first sentence, especially you got some mistakes in there. I'd start with your second sentence. I frequently visit the company park, and this is my favorite park because it has many beautiful trees, and. Not only, but also using your correlative conjunctions. Breeze, Lally, is a light wind. Okay, it's a gentle wind. A gentle wind is a breeze. We also use it as a slang meaning easy. All right, try to answer this one, girls and guys. Have parks changed since you were a child? Hint, hint, pay attention to the grammar of that question. There is a unique kind of grammar. Jeffrey, you want to focus on that grammar. So the way I'd say that is, no, parks haven't changed much since I was a child. They're pretty much the same. I don't see any significant alterations. So that's fine. You can say that. Just make sure that you reverb the present perfect. Haven't. That's right. Haven't changed. Hike, yes, of course. I think there have been huge changes because of modern technology, such as the availability of Wi-Fi connections. And nowadays, because of this, I see many people chasing imaginary Pokemon on their mobile phones through the park. I've seen that. Maybe you girls and guys have too. It's kind of weird, but hey. Honestly, I've done it. I've tried it out. It was kind of fun. All right. Let's see some answers that reflect the grammar of that question. Lally, yes, you can say that. No, I can't. You can say that. I'm not saying it. Yes, I can say that because with time, everything changes. So I hardly feel that there are many parks which are the same as they were in the past. Okay, you still need to reflect that grammar. Parks haven't changed. They're looking for that, guys. They're checking that grammar. Lytton, there have been a plethora of changes in the parks in Victoria in 2010. There are numerous plants right now, but Also, not only are there numerous plants, but also new infrastructure. You got a lot of mistakes in there, Lytton. Write that one out and change it completely. Correct your mistakes. Okay, girls and guys. So again, in this one, make sure you reflect the grammar of the question. Remember that IELTS speaking, each of these questions is fishing for some kind of grammar. Past tense, present perfect. Parks in my city have changed, Baljit. So parks in my city have changed much. Its natural beauty has diminished. For instead of natural grass, artificial grass has been planted. Artificial grass, Baljit, is called astroturf in English. Arcana, yes, yes, parks have. I would use the subject here. Yes, it has changed a lot when comparing to my child, with a lot of new monuments and sparkling lights added in recent years. Okay, good. Here we go. Yes, parks have changed greatly since my childhood. During my youth, why can't I spell that word? My brain's stuck. During my youth, parks had natural beauty, trees and flowers. However, these days there are many landscaped gardens and new facilities such as tennis courts, and lawn bowling that weren't there before. Just kind of making that up as I go along, but keeping it visual. Manisha, now parks have evolved much. Good use of the present perfect. When I was a child, there were no restrooms and barbecue facilities in the parks that we have now. Beautiful. It's very similar to what I just wrote up there with just a little bit of different information. Girls and guys, repeat after me. Yes, parks have changed greatly since my childhood. During my youth, parks had natural beauty, trees, and flowers. However, these days there are many landscaped gardens and new facilities such as tennis courts and lawn bowling that weren't there before. Okay, good. Let's go to last question. Now, I want you to include a specific example for this one. Do you do anything to protect nature? If yes, what? Okay. Let's jump to this last one. Do you do anything to protect nature? If yes, what? Please give me a good answer for this, and clearly here you'd want to include some kind of a specific example with a timestamp. So again, for this one, remember your timestamp. Okay? So indicate a yesterday, a last week, a month ago, last summer, something. Okay? Khaled, it's astroturf. Maybe two words. Like that. Google it. You'll find it. AstroTurf. Okay, looking for that answer, girls and guys. Do you do anything to protect nature? If yes, what? Okay, Vandana, I really empathize with the destruction of nature worldwide and try to plant trees and flowers as often as I can. Add a little bit to that, Vandana. Last week, I went out with a group of like-minded individuals, and we planted over 10,000 trees in the foothills of... and then someplace in India. Manisha Thakur, yes, when I was a university student, I participated in something camp. All students planted 1,000 trees to protect nature. That's beautiful. That's great. It's time-stamped. It gives a clear answer. You're getting high marks. Okay, that's how you get your marks for part 1 and for part 2 and 3, is giving clear, visible, measurable, specific answers with explanations and examples. Baljat, I always try to do my best to prevent nature from harm, and I plant at least 1 tree on each birthday. Good. Just note those corrections. Sonu, something very similar. I guess this might be a tradition to plant a tree on birthdays. Yes, on my birthday I plant a tree. Hey, if everybody did that, 7 billion people, 7 billion birthdays, that's a lot of trees. Okay, Arcana, Stanley. Yes, the best step I do to protect nature is gardening. Rather than planting small flowers, I like to plant large trees like mango coconut, which will be good for the environment in future years when they grow tall and strong. Yes, Manisha, even though the question's in present tense, it's still a very good response. Absolutely. Yeah. I stopped using drinking straws last month because these cause a lot of damage to the environment, specifically the oceans. Very good, Jeffrey. Just want to correct a little bit of your phrasing there. I stopped using drinking straws last month because they're very bad for the environment, okay? Yeah, so there's a lot of ways that you can protect nature. One is by planting trees. Another way is, yes, I invest much effort into safeguarding the environment. For instance, I use my bike rather than my car as much as possible. In fact, I came to this IELTS speaking exam today on my bicycle. There you go. There's one. This reduces air pollution and helps me stay in shape, if you want to just finish that off, okay? All right, so yes, I invest much effort into safeguarding the environment. For instance, I use my bike rather than my car as much as possible. In fact, I came to this IELTS speaking exam today on my bicycle. This reduces air pollution. Repeat that after me, girls and guys, one more time. Yes, I invest much effort into safeguarding the environment. For instance, I use my bike rather than my car as much as possible. In fact, I came to this IELTS speaking exam today on my bicycle. All right, so moving on to part 2. Girls and guys, you're doing a great job, by the way, so far. I think you're definitely getting the right idea here with the examples and the right amount of details. So you're picking up what I'm putting down. Let's go to part 2. So when you're finished part 1, and the examiner might not ask you all of the questions that you see on the sheet for 2 reasons. One, if the examiner feels that you've done a great job in part 1, you've shown your fluency, you have good English skills, they're not going to maybe ask you all of the questions in part 1 because they want to get to part 2 and part 3 to see how high level your English is. Also, if you're giving really nice answers to part 1 questions, sometimes what you do is you're actually answering 2 questions. So you answer a question and then you're answering a follow-up question. So they just skip through that question, okay? I'll give you an example of what I mean there. So, so here's a question: which is your favorite park to visit? And then the next one is, what do you like to do when you're there? The examiner has those on the sheet. But if your answer here for the first one is, my favorite park to visit is Beacon Hill Park because it has great barbecuing facilities. I love to grill chicken and beef when I'm there. Then they're not going to ask you this next question because you just answered it. okay? So that's why they might cut out some of those questions. And then they'll get to part 2. In part 2 here, we're talking about an item. When you have an item, of course, you need to think about what? So how do you describe an item? An item is an object. So it's something you have or you hold. What is the important parts of talking about an object? Girls and guys, that's a question for you. Yeah, you want to talk about its appearance. What does it look like? Its shape, its size, its color, sure. Its history, yeah, where did you get it from, right? So describe what it looks like, its origins, where did it come from? Its function, yeah. Yeah, what is it used for? Absolutely. So that's what you want to include. If you include those parts, there's a very good chance you'll answer most of the cue card questions, but you definitely do want to pay attention to the controlling ideas. So appearance, origin, which is the same as the history, function, and its importance. Why is it important for you? If you talk about these 4 points, okay, if you talk about those, there's a very good chance you'll meet the task requirement for part 2, because generally that's what your goal is. Of course, you have to pay attention to the topic. So, talk about a memorable item you no longer have. That's your topic, okay? Memorable item you no longer have. What is a good answer? I've heard students say a few different ones in the past for this. What is a good answer for this one? So you get this cue card. You have 1 minute to prepare your answer. You have 2 minutes to talk. You want to choose something that's going to be easy. What are some easy answers? Give me some easy answers. If you ask 100 people, what do you think will be some of the common answers for this question? Talk about a memorable item you no longer have. I don't know about talking about an archaic box set. I think that would be very difficult. A childhood toy would be a good one, Jeffrey. Something specific. Amanjat of the first car would be a very good one. Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't talk about your first, maybe, Daljit, your first phone, maybe. Might be okay. Okay, so common answers. A toy. First car. Bike. Superman figurine, Jeffrey. Superman figurine. A bike. What else? Let's see. A watch. I think there's one very common one that your Barbie. Okay, Nada. Yeah, your Barbie would be okay as well. Wristwatch would be a good one as well. Yeah, so toy, first car, bike, watch. How about a teddy bear? How many of you had teddy bears when you were little? Power Ranger toy. Your first laptop bandana would be brilliant. Okay. Yeah, you could talk about your first phone. It might get a little bit difficult because phones are very complex devices. So you might get lost in your words and the information. I might pick something that's a little bit more clear. Okay. Guitar is a good one. Guitar, coffee mug, sure. Talking about a coffee mug for 2 minutes might get a little bit tricky. Saad still has his teddy. That's great. I love it. Guitar's a good one. Okay. So, computers get difficult because they're very complex devices. Your favorite clothing, like a jacket, that could be a good one. Yeah, like a leather jacket that you used to go to rock concerts in and rock out. Sure. All right. Okay. And then you look at the questions, of course. So what is the item? When did you have it? Where you got the object? And why is it important to you? And can you replace it? You have to make sure that you answer all of these questions completely. Okay? Let's focus on teddy bear. I think that's going to be a common thread for everybody. Everybody's had a favorite plush animal or a teddy that you might remember from your childhood. Of course, you can make up the information as you go. So, Target, teddy bear. Okay, a memorable object that I no longer possess is my teddy bear, Benji. Okay, I gave my teddy bear a name. All right, so what should I write next? What should I write after Benji? We'll do bike and car, Hadil, are very similar. They're both transportation vehicles. So Hadil, if you go back to that lesson where we did car, then I'm sure that you'll be able to figure out a good answer for bike. I'll get to that, Hadil. Yeah, I should talk about the appearance. So talk about the appearance of my teddy bear. Can you give me some examples of my teddy bear's appearance? It was a white teddy with blue eyes, sure. Let's continue that sentence. Baljat, you've gone off on a different tangent there, but it's good. When I was 5 years old, my grandfather gave me a pink teddy bear on my 6th birthday, which was very pretty, but I lost it in school. That was a good beginning there, Baljat. I liked it. Harmeet, with a cricket bat. It's a different topic. I know there's a lot of ways to answer this, girls and guys, but let's just stick to teddy bear here. I want to go through the structure here. Blue teddy with heart-shaped eyes. Yep, so I can throw that in there. Blue teddy bear with blue heart-shaped eyes. Nice. Roughly 30 centimeters tall. Okay. That's good. I distinctly remember that it had short, soft, curly fur, which I loved pressing up against my cheeks. Okay, good. Yeah, and then definitely your next part. So what do you want to write about next? And there are a lot of good descriptions coming up there, girls and guys, with the ponytail, the purple color eyes. So yes, there's when you have, and this is important here, when you make a good choice, so when you choose a good object to talk about, that can really help your score because it becomes much easier to talk about it. Yeah, that's right, Manisha, the history, and that's right, Amanjot. So I want to talk about the origins of the teddy bear. Where did I get it, right? So let's talk about the origins. One of you said that your grandpa gave it to you for your 6th birthday or your 5th birthday. So Benji was a very special gift from my grandfather for my 5th birthday. Okay, so what else can I write after that? So again, remember the way that you expand, okay? The way that you expand your speaking, so you stretch your 2 minutes so that it's well structured and you give good information, is you think about follow-up questions, okay? So here we talked about when I got it, 5th birthday, who I got it from, my grandfather. What else? What else can I answer here? Vandana, I think you're jumping ahead. I would go into a little bit more detail here of the origin. Yeah, so how I actually got it, Baljit, that's a good one, right? And Arcana, yeah, it's a sad one, but you could, and of course it doesn't have to be true. Unfortunately, that was the last gift from my grandfather, so why is it special would be a good question to follow up there. So Benji was a very special gift from my grandfather for my 5th birthday. He noticed that I was fascinated by bears when he took me to the zoo. So he surprised me with this memorable plush toy. Okay, so there were some good answers there as well. I'm just giving you some alternatives. So he noticed that I was fascinated by bears when he took me to the zoo. So he surprised me with this memorable plush toy. I still remember unwrapping Benji from the newspapers that my grandpa used to keep the gift hidden. Okay. Sure. Now, girls and guys, so notice what I did there. I created more questions within the question to add more detail to my speaking. Narendra, the bubble sheet, a great idea. And it was fun popping the bubble sheet after. That's great too. Just don't go too far. Don't go off topic, okay? Baljot, somebody else gave the same idea as what you're giving right now, and I said the same then. That's a good idea as well, okay? It's sad, but it's good, okay? You can make it up as you go along. Important, important, important. Remember, to use your notes and look back at the questions, okay? Too many times, girls and guys, and probably some of you or many of you have heard me say this before, but too many times I see students write down some great notes, have the cue card in front of them, they read the questions once, they look at their notes or they just write them down, and they never look at it. Then they just start talking for 2 minutes. And the examiner cannot tell you that you've gone on topic. Off topic. So the examiner can't say, oh, just stop for a second, you're way off topic, please look at your cue card and read the questions again. They will not say that, okay? They will not tell you that. That's your responsibility. So when you realize that, okay, I've introduced my topic, I've answered a question, I've answered another question, stop, look at your notes, look at the cue card, make sure you're not flying off into space, and make sure that you are answering the right questions. So let's take a peek back at the questions here and make sure that we're not flying off topic. So what the item is and when you had it, okay, we've kind of answered that. We didn't talk about when we lost it yet. Where you got the object, sure, we got that. Why is it important to you and can you replace it? Okay, so why is it important to you and can you replace it? If you start talking about function, you will get there, okay? So start discussing function and then you'll get into these questions, okay? So before you say you lost your teddy bear, talk about why it was important to you, okay? So my Benji was not just an object or a toy for me, but he was my first best friend. I used to have complete discussions and tea parties with Benji. Just making this up, girls and guys. I never really had Benji, but I'm just kind of creating it as I'm going along here, visualizing what people do with their teddy bear. Of course, he was with me when I went to sleep and awoke in the mornings. Okay, so why is Benji so special? You could say it was also the first gift from my grandfather or the last gift, as some of you said. Unfortunately, my grandpa passed away that same year. So this made Benji even more special as he reminded me of my grandfather's, gonna make me cry here, girls and guys, grandfather's love. Okay, so going along. All right, now, I want to make sure that I'm answering these questions. So why is this object so important? I've answered that, but I haven't answered the complete question. Again, I want to look at those questions before my 2 minutes is up and make sure that I am answering everything, okay? So what the item is, when I had it, good, where I got it, why it was important, good, can I replace it? All right, I need to answer that. So Benji was with me for many years. Years until one day I couldn't find him. I had gone on a camping trip with my family to the mountains, and he must have fallen out of my pack. This made me very sad, and even though I was 20 years old at the time, I shed some tears. Okay? All right. Now let's see what you girls and guys are answering. You're saying, I think I can't replace it because it's not like any teddy bear that a person can just buy from the market. Don't switch to you, Saad. Careful to stay away from you. I know we do that in natural speech where we say you, but it's actually incorrect communication. So I always tell students, try not to say you in your sentences, okay? That I can't buy from just any market, okay? That a person can't buy. Or obviously that my grandfather could no longer buy, right? All right. Yeah, Kripa, that's a good one too. So unfortunately, I lost my sweet teddy during a move when my family transferred from one city to another, okay? Yeah, so Kripa, finish it off. Benji was my first and best friend, and no one will ever be able to replace Benji. Good. Yeah, so sadly, there is no way that Benji can be replaced. The memories and sentimental value attached to him is impossible to replicate. All right. I realize people don't always talk like that, but for IELTS Task 2 to push high scores, you have to push that kind of speaking. That should be roughly 2 minutes. You've answered all the questions. You've completed your task. You've done a good job. Let's look at this now together. So just repeat after me. Again, remember that for part 2, you want to talk about the appearance of an item, the origin or the history, its function, and its importance, okay? So girls and guys, repeat our answer here. A memorable object that I no longer possess is my teddy bear, Benji. It was a white teddy with blue heart-shaped eyes, roughly 30 centimeters tall. I distinctly remember that it had short, soft, curly fur, which I loved pressing up against my cheeks. Benji was very special. He was a gift from my grandfather for my 5th birthday. He noticed that I was fascinated by bears when he took me to the zoo, so he surprised me with this memorable plush toy. I still remember unwrapping Benji from the newspapers that my grandpa used to keep the gift hidden. Benji was not just an object or a toy for me, but he was my first best friend. I used to have complete discussions and tea parties with him. Of course, he was with me when I went to sleep and awoke in the mornings. Unfortunately, my grandpa passed away that same year, so this made Benji even more special as he reminded me of my grandfather's love. Benji was with me for many years until one day I couldn't find him. I had gone on a camping trip with my family to the mountains, and he must have fallen out of my pack. This made me very sad, and even though I was 20 years old at the time, I shed some tears for good old Benji. Sadly, there is no way that Benji can be replaced. The memories and the sentimental value attached to him is impossible to replicate. All right, that was a hard, sad, but very high band score. Part 2. Okay, and then the examiner will say that is the end of part 2. Please give me back the cue card with the questions on it, and now I will continue with part 3. Part 3 will be questions on a similar or related topic. Let's talk about important possessions. Okay, we'll do a couple of these questions, and then I'll leave the rest to you. Let's look at the first one. In your opinion, why do people like to cherish certain possessions? Try to answer that question, girls and guys. So, in your opinion, why do people like to cherish certain possessions? I gave you a couple of interesting vocabulary in that part 2 that you can use to answer that question. So, try to give me an answer. Yeah, you're right, Jeffrey. I wasn't thinking about Toy Story, but it is related. And hey, if you can reference something from your memory of a movie that fits for that question, go for it. That can make it a lot easier. Cherish means to have and hold and love, okay? Yeah, that's right, Saad. Cherish means to have certain possessions that hold distinctive emotions. That's right, Joshil. Cherish means to love or be fond of, Baljot. That's a good way to say it also. Okay, let's see some answers, girls and guys. Now, if you're not sure of the meaning of that question in the real IELTS, try to paraphrase it. Definitely ask for it to be repeated. If you still don't know what it means, then go on to the next question. Say, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what that question is. Can we please go to the next one? Don't just give some strange answer. That's not going to be good. You'll run out of time for your good questions and answers. Okay. Yeah, owning with attachment, Arcana, is a good definition. Vandana, in my view, people like to cherish certain things because of their sentimental value and how it reminds them of some person or event. Vandana, that's a great answer. Throw in your teddy bear. For example, like Benji reminded me of my grandfather. Okay, you can use your info from part 2. Remember, part 3, you have questions related to the topic of part 2. So if you did a good job in part 2, you'll know that because you can probably make some connections between your part 2 and your part 3 questions, okay? So people cherish certain things because it has sentimental value. It reminds them of a person or event. Oops. Or event such as Benji reminded me of my grandfather. Okay. Very specific example, right? Strengthens my coherence and very nice completion on the answer. Okay. So try to do that. If you're talking about something very different from part 2, it's probably because you didn't understand the question. Okay. So careful about that. Yeah, that's right, Vandana. Nice. You threw that in there. In my opinion, people love to have some special things because of emotional attachment that reminds them about that special event. For example, I still have a pen given to me by my grandfather. Great answer, Manisha. You answer part 3 questions like that, you'll get a score 8. Score 8.5, maybe even a 9. Okay. Saad, great question. If you ask the examiner to go to the next question, will this hurt your mark? Yes, but it will not hurt it as much as if you keep giving wrong answers, run out of time, and not get to questions that you understand and give good answers to you. Does that make sense? So if I don't understand this question and I answer it anyway, definitely my mark will go down. And if this question, are there any special items in your culture that are highly valued? If yes, what? You understand it, but sorry, you ran out of time because you were giving weird answers here, and the examiner didn't have any more time left to ask you this question, then now that's a bigger problem. So if you really don't understand a question and you've paraphrased it, so you've said, are you asking me why do people like to sell some of their things? And the examiner says, no, that's not what I'm asking you. And then you say, oh, okay, can you repeat the question, please? And then they say, yes. In your opinion, why do people like to cherish certain possessions? And you go, I just don't get what he's asking me. It's a much better decision to say, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're asking me. Please let's go to the next question. And then hopefully you understand that question, okay? And then give a good answer. That's much, much better than if you start just jibber-jabbering about something crazy, because the examiner is just going to have a straight face. They won't show it, but in their mind they're going to be like, okay, minus points. So careful. No, Pachu, do not go off onto the opposite view. So always answer the question from what it's asking you. So don't talk about why people don't like to cherish some things, okay? Or why people throw things away. I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you, why do people cherish certain possessions? Okay, let's jump to this question then that we just mentioned. Are there any special items in your culture that are highly valued? If yes, what? Okay, so let's jump to that one. Kripa, that's a pretty good answer. There's a couple of small mistakes in it, but pretty good answer. Okay, repeat. Make sure you're repeating all of these sentences nice and loud. Practice your speaking. I can't hear you, but I believe in you that you're repeating me. Are there any special items in your culture that are highly valued? If yes, what? Okay, let's see a couple of answers there, girls and guys. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure some of you are no longer living your childhood years. No offense meant there. Mahendra Gardi, special items means special items, like a traditional dress or a traditional sword, jewelry, statue, tiara, something that is highly valued. Any object that is highly valued. It could be historic. It could be religious. It could be a lot of different things, okay? The Kaaba stone for people who are of Muslim faith would be a very highly valued object because it is believed that that is a part of the house of God that has fallen to the earth. Okay, so think about anything like that. Something that monuments which are important for your tradition, Arcana, absolutely. Vandana says, in Indian culture, traditional clothes are highly valued and cherished. For example, I was gifted a Gujarati sari, and I cherish and wear it with affection. Very good and nice example, okay? You might even want to put some more detail in that, Vandana. You might even want to say something like a beautiful purple or orange silk sari. I don't know what it is, but just making it up. Baljit, in northern part of India, people used to cook on stoves and burn wood, which resembles a traditional method of cooking. These stoves are highly valued among people in that region. Okay, Baljit, you want to add that in. Make sure you reflect that question. Mahendra, yes, we have a Tuara Sural and Dakha Topi, which is most valuable in our culture and also shows our nationality. Explain to me what that is, because I'm not sure what that is. The wedding dress can be considered highly valuable. Absolutely. Good job, girls and guys. So, yeah. Certainly. There are several objects in Canadian culture that are of great value. One that comes to mind is the wedding rings, which symbolize the eternal love of each other, of husband and wife. That's why I keep my wedding ring on a chain around my neck. Okay? So there were some good answers there. And again, definitely one that you want to throw in that example. Okay? So remember, that was the focus of our lesson. We want to throw in specific examples from our own life. That's why I keep my wedding ring on a chain around my neck. Okay? So Berlin says, yep, I live in a pretty religious community, so it's not a surprise that when you look around at our costumes and culture, you will see certain objects that are precious to the people, such as, and then, of course, Berlin, I'm guessing you want to finish it up there. Okay? All right. If you're not married, Lolly, that's fine. Remember, IELTS isn't about the truth. It's about getting a high score. You can make up information. If you're not married, you can still make it up. I'm sure there are a couple people out there who are watching this that are married, so don't take it upon yourself if it's not about you. But you can make it up, all right? You can make it up. Okay, girls and guys, I will leave the rest of these questions to you. So let's discuss advertising. Here are some great questions. Look again at these questions in the video. This is being recorded. It will be live on the channel in about 30 minutes in our recorded videos. Again, to get all of our live class sessions, we have over 100 hours of videos on our YouTube channels. That's just a part, or sorry, on our websites. That's just a part of everything that you get. You get 6 full practice exams, a whole bunch of audio, and a fully interactive course that you can use on your phone, tablet, computer, academic IELTS, aehelp.com, general IELTS, gieltshelp.com. Thank you so much for watching this live streaming speaking IELTS session. I hope that everybody got some useful information out of this. Again, remember, when you're speaking, at least for every second question, you need to include some real-life examples to back up your explanations. Timestamp them yesterday, the day before, 2 weeks ago. Timestamp them to make you remember what you need to say and what you need to do. You're very welcome, everybody. Thank you so much, Saad. You are welcome. Taru, Lali, Probins, Nada. A special thank you to all of our sponsors for supporting us. We will continue live classes on Wednesday. Okay, there'll be a 2-day break right now. We'll continue live classes Wednesday, same time. That's 16:30 or 4:30 p.m. Central European Time. If you're one of our sponsors and you have a special request for a class, maybe a task 1 or some reading question that you have difficulty with, don't be shy. Send us a contact email. Let us know what you want. We'll be happy to help you out. Bye for now, girls and guys. I hope you have an awesome rest of your evening. Sweet dreams if it's late in your country and you're going to sleep. Bye-bye.